And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because I like complaining about stuff, and Lord knows I do it often enough. But it's nice to feel vindicated once in a while, and, well, this week I absolutely was. You can fight me on this hill, and you can die on it along with me, but it's properly pronounced mozzarella, not mozzarella. Don't worry, there's a story behind that, because of course there's always a story behind that. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Hi. I don't have anything to drink with me tonight, surprisingly enough, but I'm probably going to be seeing about some heavy duty drink later this upcoming week. I'll explain in a moment. At the moment, only, joining me from the left coast, Io gets to put up whatever penance is necessary again.
Penance?
That's the story I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm definitely being punished.
And Unrenowned Tech is going to be joining us shortly. He's got some stuff that he's finishing up with, and then he'll be able to join us, which would be very nice. Unfortunately, I don't have any word on anybody else currently. Bridget, from what I've seen, seems to be doing okay. Still not really thrilled and happy, of course, which makes matters annoying. But on the bright side, I get things flashing in my face on the left-hand screen. See, there's a thing I'll explain about that. So joining us from the right-hand coast, where fortunately there are no heavy tropical storms or Category 3 hurricanes making their way up to, Unrenowned Tech does get to join us. Hi.
Hello, sorry for being late.
It's all right. It just means I get to move my stuff around on the screen before we get too far along with everything, which is fine. How you doing?
I'm all right. Nothing terribly wrong with the world. That hasn't already been wrong.
No, there's that.
Yeah, there's no world-ending comet. I voted for it, but it never showed up.
Damn it!
Yeah,
We needed it.
I know.
And apparently Beetlejuice has started exploding, but I haven't heard any confirmed anywhere.
Oh, he's just practicing for his next movie.
Wrong Beetlejuice.
Which one are you talking about?
The star.
No, say it again. Come on. Say it a third time.
No, you've already said it twice.
Beetlejuice, 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 Beetlejuice. Ah, shit! No.
Anybody else remember that stupid, what was it, Bloody Mary or something like that?
Yeah, it doesn't actually
You're
work.
supposed to stay in the bathroom mirror or something like that. I don't. 80s were weird.
Yeah, apparently Beetlejuice, the star, is supposed to be going like supernova.
Ooh,
But
that's going to be pretty in the sky.
But that's been going on for months and months and months because there's been some changes in its spectrum and the light has been letting off. And like in the last week or so, there was news reports that it's actually started. But I haven't seen anything other than just the secondary channels saying it. Until Neil deGrasse Tyson says that it's blown up, or NASA, it hasn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, just watch nasa.gov. They'll be all over it when it happens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love nasa.gov.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been working on a pair of Croc inserts. Yes, I wear Crocs. And I've got both of them. I've got both of them about halfway done, I think. At least a good solid third. And I started that yesterday during our show. Well, shooting show, the one that I got dragged onto. It's all Rissa's fault. It is.
It's fine. It's fine. So
I've been working hard at that. Went to D&D tonight, had some fun. And what was funny as all hell was that there was 2 crafters there at D&D. And the other one was making leather pink ribbons for cancer awareness. He was contracted to make 300 of them, and he had already finished 150. And I think he got about 20 done and gave me one.
Very cool.
I tried to refuse it. It's like, no, 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 no. You have to. Oh, fine.
If someone is doing
Choice.
if someone is doing a handcrafted item and they offer you one, you say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I was more into making sure that the people that were supposed to get it get all of them. But yeah.
Don't worry. As someone that's done leathercraft, if they offer you one, there's either two reasons. One, they're already ahead of schedule and they like you, or two, you got to throw away one that's got a problem in it that you won't see but they know about, so just take it and say thank you. Either way.
Well, considering handcrafted things always have something a little off compared to machine crafted, because machine crafted lasers, robots, blah, blah, blah. But that also means that it was made with love and not with computers.
As someone who has lost track many a time of some intricate Celtic knotwork over under in leather stamping, trust me, there's always a mistake. You just have to figure out where it is.
Yeah, the beautiful part about the mistake is it makes it unique. There are no mistakes, only happy little accidents.
I don't think that there's any mistakes in the scarf that I sent you. Where is the scarf? It should be choking you about now.
I can neither confirm nor deny where I've stuffed it. By the way, it's nice and warm tonight. So it's good to be back with you, everybody. Hope that you're having yourselves a good time. And, of course, for anyone that might be in the southern half of the eastern seaboard of the U.S., our hearts and minds are hoping that things are working out for you folks. As of the recording of tonight's show, by the way, during this past week, there was some sizable hurricane come ripping through, did a nasty job on a lot of communities down there. So Florida, Georgia, the lower eastern seaboard got hit pretty bad. There's some areas that got, of course, hit worse than others. I was just listening to Scathing Atheist. They had some stuff in their yard, some pretty nasty. And a buddy of mine who lives down Florida way, who is an emergency communications guy, ham radio amongst other things. He got lucky, not like a couple of blips with power and no interruption in data services, although cell service was spotty at best at times. Considering his go bag in emergencies for emergency communications, I know the kind of stuff that he's got in there. He's shown a picture of it. And like I said, he's the guy that got me involved with doing ham radio. And we learned from somebody who understood emergency communications. He was ready for damn near everything. So, yeah.
My spouse has been going on Amazon getting all sorts of EDC stuff. And he actually found a Swiss Army knife that's supposedly TSA compliant.
Yeah, that's the one without the blade in it.
Yep. And he's found a whole bunch
Correction. It's the one with the blade, but the blade's removable, so you can take the blade out, throw it out, and the knife is now TSA compliant.
And he's found other items. We've basically been having packages show up daily. And I think it's all because of the hurricane. It could be because of other reasons. But yeah, stuff's been showing up.
Yeah. We'll definitely touch on a couple of things for like emergency preparedness. Just a little bit, I promise you. It's not gonna be part of tonight's like overall theme or even a major piece. We'll just kind of touch on a couple of things because, it's kind of important. But other than that, hi everybody. Let's go ahead and get over to the group over here, because if you're with us as we're recording live, you can be part of the live chat over there. So Stephanie, you were here early. Good morning. Good to see you. Nice to know that you're still there. damn it, IO. All right, yeah, I know that you're over there. Tech. All right, you know what? Fine. You guys want to be in the live chat at the same time? That's fine. That's cool. It's fine. I can't do that at the same quite the same way.
We're in the live chat so that people actually know that we're watching it.
That's fair.
Because someday one of your podcasts is probably going to go, "Hey, you guys should listen to this," and then it's going to go, "You guys should listen to this," and it's going to explode. So if we're at least looking,
It could be.
Speaking of interesting is in the live chat. That is hilarious. Stephanie puts in there, oh, and the tree surgeons cleared the roads. I have never heard of people wielding chainsaw, lumberjacks being called tree surgeons. That just tickles me.
I mean, that does kind of make sense. But yeah, it's the first I've heard of that term for that kind of thing.
well,
Cool.
if the roads aren't clear, people can't get through in order to bring help to those that need it.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about calling a lumberjack a tree surgeon. That tickles me.
Tickles me too.
We're all tickled.
Touched, perhaps, is a word I would use otherwise.
And the TikTok that I saw the other day about the Canadians heading down to Florida. Help is on the way, dearie. Help is on the way.
Not if the geese are following them. Then they're screwed.
No.
No kidding.
No, the geese are basically the equivalent of an A-10. They're covering close air support for all the guys on the ground. And this is the time of the season when they'd be flying south anyway. So for them, they're basically like, yeah, you guys just try to keep up with us, all right?
I'm serious. We in the States do not really seem to comprehend that if Canada ever figures out how to weaponize geese, we're screwed. We have nothing in our arsenal that would defend us.
There's a YouTube short that I put in my personal Discord. Somebody remind me that I need to put that over into HCTVs also, because the comment that I had for it was I believe pretty spot on. I'm not going to spoil it. I will simply say, if you want to find out what it is, come back to the show notes for this episode, and you'll be able to see it in there, because that's how we're going to do it, because it's going to be easier that way. Sounds good. Stephanie's also pointing out, by the way, lumberjacks do primary cutting. Tree surgeons also trim awkward branches. You know what? That is under that terminology, I do remember having heard. It's been an extremely long time since last I heard the term tree surgeon specifically. But yeah, I remember them for the term for those who deal in arboreal, effectively surgery, minor amputations, and for trees that have gotten some illnesses, some bad, I don't know, invasive something or other that's like doing damage to them. And like I said, I just haven't heard that term in a very, very long time. So cool.
Well, it's new for me, and that means you guys taught me something new. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
She's also pointed out, who needs to weaponize Canada geese? They are badass enough as they are. I do believe that you owe a thank you.
They're not geese. They're cobra chickens. And yes, she's right. Stephanie is 100% right. I have had an absolutely horrible weekend after I got
attacked by geese.
Well,
no, after I got off the show, within 3 hours at the most, I was in the hospital because my heart had decided it was going to do 190 while I was lying still in bed. I had gotten the COVID vaccine earlier that day, as well as the flu vaccine.
Never get them at the same time.
Spent a couple days in the hospital to make sure I wasn't having a heart attack, and one of the markers for a heart attack was elevated. So I've had some muscle damage to my heart because of the COVID shot. And when I came home, my computer was off and my new broadcasting computer is off. So I called in my tech support, oh sweetie, and he went and checked the computer and the hard drive that was our new broadcasting computer's hard drive. We're hoping that we're hoping we're going to be able to recover the data if we can get it to somebody that can recover the data, because if not, we've lost at least 2 recordings, if not more.
Yeah. Collectively, we're pretty much of the opinion that it's probably just an unbootable drive, but that data is still living on it and just could just be read off of it, so long as it's not booted from. But we have to wait and see how things play out. We're hoping for the best. But as an aside, by the way, if you do not already have one, and this is something for pretty much everybody, I got mine from Best Buy. I know, but unfortunately, CompUSA doesn't exist anymore. There are no Fry's around me, nor Micro Centers. The closest one is a good 3-4 hour drive from me. I got one of these, which is a drop-in, it's USB connected, external power supplied, SATA, double SATA enclosure. It's flimsy as all get out, but it does the job. So if you have SATA drives and you want to check and see without having to open up your computer case, one of these, beautiful thing. Plus, if you wanted to make a new Linux drive and you've got a spare and you want to, build something up out of like an old 240 gigabyte SSD, this is the guy. Like I said, an emergency comms thing, by the way, to go along with that, an 8 gigabyte thumb drive is all you need for just test driving stuff and live booting a computer to find out if everything's working correctly. I'm not saying this for as an IO dig thing, not in any way. Just as for folks that understand, do I know a little something about the emergency setups and whatnot? Oh yeah, my biggest problem is that I don't have the same visibility, meaning vision, or steadiness of hand to do close in soldering like I used to, when I was 20, 25. Although I do still have the knowledge of how it's supposed to happen.
There's also, you don't have to get the dock that he's showing. It is convenient to have a flat dock like that to prevent things from going around. But they also make adapters that you can plug into a USB port, and then you can plug in a SATA connection or even, one of the old-fashioned ribbon cables, IDE, and so on. So depending on the age of your drives, you look for the appropriate adapter. But they're all over the place. And
Okay.
we're not just telling this to we're not just telling this to IO Cloud. We're saying this to everybody who's listening that may have a hard drive and they're going, I took this out of an old computer. I don't know if it still works anymore. Well, they make adapters for that. So just figure out what kind it is, and online, $15-20, and you to a USB connection, and off you go. Okay?
Well, see, I suggested a Linux drive, even just a bootable thumb drive, and I'm not going to suggest that again. The words that came out of his mouth were basically, yeah, okay, I'm going to leave it with you. You do your magic. You know what to do. I'm going to walk away because I know better.
Yeah, and it doesn't work for everybody. Some people, it's just not the way to go. Usually it's and I don't say this disparaging, usually it's a mental thing, because so many people, the vast majority of us, are brought up using Microsoft Windows, get accustomed to that, perfectly reasonable. A smaller percentage, Macintosh, and an even smaller group are the Linux folks, who are usually the ones that are just like, I want to do something else. So if it works for you, cool, great. If it don't, cool, great. You use the tool that you understand how to get the right out of it. That's
I'm
the
still
most
trying to
important
get
part.
USB to work in OS2 Warp.
OS2 Warp.
Ooh, yeah, we can.
I just had shivers go down my back,
Yeah,
and somebody's letting off fireworks.
yeah. We'll talk about that another time, maybe. Don't make me go and get my install discs for Solaris. Don't make me do. I've got
Hey,
it
just
over.
because you're a little bit older than me.
I've got it over there. I got it over there. They had it freely available at one point.
Guys, I'll get out my nanometer and we'll measure. Okay.
I know what she's trying to say. I know
Yeah.
what she's trying to say.
Yeah, we know what she's trying to say, but the execution wasn't, on.
No, it's perfectly reasonable. I will just say this. You see this? This is a compact flash to SD adapter. This is what saved me. This is what saved my sanity. I'll explain later.
We have. If you came for a visit and started digging around in some of the drawers that are here or in the garage, you'd probably start drooling just because of the stuff that can be brought out.
I have questions that are not appropriate for this show. I'm going to wait.
That too.
So let me go ahead and move along. Stephanie saying, I sit in awe of your knowledge. A part of me does want to say in a sarcastic way, thank you. But in a sarcastic, joking way. I'm gonna level with everybody before I go ahead and get into the opening. I don't view myself as an especially smart individual. I'm not an especially well-read personality. And truth be told, I don't think that I'm exceedingly special. I have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things. But I don't find myself to be like, I don't ever think that I'm the smartest guy in the room because I know that's not the case. I'm just lucky enough to have had a lot of vision to a lot of different things. And I just happen to retain a lot of it for no other good reason other than that's the way that my brain works. But thank you. In honesty, just thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I would also say that you need to up your standards. So,
Yep.
Up yours. I can't tell you how old that joke is because I don't remember. I know it's from the 70s, but I can't tell you beyond that.
I'm being good. 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 Why should I be good? I should just start the rant.
Because otherwise I'll have you do the freestyle. So let me go ahead and do it myself.
Oh, I can do the freestyle? I can do the freestyle?
I said I would, but that's not this week because I'm already planned out.
Okay, fine.
So with 5 minutes on the clock, your freestyle starts now. Coincidences. Now, there are a number of them that we take notice of because we remember the hits and we forget the misses. And this is something that happens all the time. And I will give you a perfect example. Where I work, the job that I do is to receive product donations from the public, bring them inside the shop, put them onto the wheeled carriage that's supposed to take them to a scale to be weighed, and then it gets delivered to whichever group inside the production house to look it over, grade it, decide whether or not it's worth selling and how much to sell it for, or if it's just product that just needs to be reclaimed, recycled. So I get stuff. I get lots of stuff. I get clothing. I get media of various descriptions, books, recordings, reel-to-reel tapes. Let me tell you, those big reel-to-reel tapes, those are great. Those are great because there's some really amazing pieces and toys galore. Stuff that I grew up with. So, toys that are literally as old as I am in some cases. And in some cases, they look it. But the recordings are the ones where I have so much that I look at and I'm just like, I had that. I had that. Oh my God, that was the first album I bought. I rode my bicycle to TSS to buy that. And then when I brought it back because it had a scratch on it, I went back a week later to buy the album again, and they just put it back into new plastic wrap because it was the same scratch. Yeah, I'm still salty about that. No, I'm not going to tell you what album it was. I will tell you it was the Village People, though. But I had a single, a 45 RPM single that came through, and I saw it. I saw it, and I immediately recognized it. I don't remember who it was that sang it that was on that particular one, but the recording of Eddie Cantor singing it is the one that I downloaded and kept for myself. Eddie Cantor being a performer back from the late 20s into the 40s. I forget when it was that he passed, but he was pretty big time. And the name of the song was "Yes, Sir, That's My Baby." It was the recording I got was from 1930, but the song dates back to just a little bit before that point. It was a song that my grandmother used to sing all the time. And I didn't remember the very beginning of it because she didn't sing the very beginning of it. She sang, the chorus. "Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, I don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. By the way, yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, I don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now." Now, going like that, obviously, I'm not going to get a music strike for that. But there is something special in that song. There was a very, very special and unique connection for me with that song. Because, like I said, my grandmother used to sing it. And there's only one time ever that I heard it played on the radio, on a local NPR station, public broadcasting radio station. It was the night that my kid was born, whose name was inspired by that grandmother. So the only time I'd ever heard it on radio was the morning, dark stupid in the morning, when I finally left the hospital to go home for a while. And I heard it as I was leaving the hospital parking lot. And here we are, all these years later, this record pops into the shop. And it is now the third birth-anniversary, tea-anniversary of my son now being on hormones for his transition. It's a fabulous, fabulous thing, because a coincidence is just the randomness of the universe that we look at and take notice of. It doesn't change that it's so incredibly magical for us when it happens. But it just is one of those things. We're not special. We're not destined for something greater because it happened, and it wasn't somebody doing it for us. Like I say about the universe, sometimes it just is. And it gave me a really big smile. Happy birthday, kid. A very happy birthday to you. With that out of the way.
That was very sweet.
It's I told my wife about it the next morning when I got back to the hospital, and she was really surprised. She was really surprised that that the song had played. And obviously it wasn't, you don't take any real notice about it until, you know, after it's not heard, which is kind of the way it's not supposed to work, of course. But, you know, it's the one time I heard it. And then never again. It's like, what the hell? It was really funky. It was really freaky. And it really made me smile. So that was the reason why for his song this week. That was the song that I chose for him. And when I let him know about it, he was just like, "Oh wow, I don't remember the song, but I remember hearing you sing it every once in a while." So very cool. So it's time to go ahead and do this. Time for the horrible scopes. For those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, you can make it up as you go along. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But of course, if you want to randomize it a little bit, get one of those D12s with the cute little squiggles on it and kind of memorize them all. You can get in touch with the folks that like us over there at Heart of the Game Fredonia. They're available over there on Facebook, and they can sell you those D12s. They may have a problem with shipping it to you if you're not in the US, so keep that in mind. You might have to ask somebody to be your die mule, I guess. I don't know how that works out. Just be aware of your state, local, national regulations on importing dice. That's Heart of the Game Fredonia. Hail, hail, Fredonia, home of the Blue Devil. Tell them Shujin Tribble and the Horrible Scope sent you. They're the shop with the mimic in the window. Supposedly. So, there's nothing to be done about it. We kind of have to give you guys Halloween costume ideas. It's October. It's kind of a contractual obligation now. But nobody ever said that they had to be good ideas. There's always a loophole. So we're taking you down a rabbit hole of costumes that could be done in sexy mode that really they really shouldn't be. And for those of you that are kind of thinking, oh, how bad could it be? Aries, and I'm going to say this one properly. There's a reason. NYC. Remember how the city that never sleeps had all kinds of image problems over the decades with, you know, people associating 42nd Street as being hooker central? I do remember those days. Well, you're not going there. You're going about 5 meters under it. Say hello to your costume, Sexy Pizza Rat. Not only can you look that one up, but apparently nobody ever copyrighted the term Pizza Rat. So this week, if you can still find an older version of the costume, wear it. And if you run into some other pizza-centric sewer animals of the ninja variety, pick a fight with them. And remember, hot pizza oil can cause at best only first-degree burns, which is not enough to win the fight, but it's all about sending the message, right?
So you're telling me they did a knockoff of Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yep.
No.
Oh,
No.
No?
No.
Chuck E. Cheese?
No. There was a video of someone who was in the subway system, and there was a rat dragging a slice of pizza.
Well, of course there was a rat dragging a slice of pizza. It's New York pizza. Everybody eats pizza at New York pizza, even the rats.
Make
It's
sure
delicious.
Make sure that there's a thing over there for the show notes so that I can find the video to put in there, because apparently somebody out there is not going to know that there actually was video of exactly that. It's not Splinter. It's an actual, honest to God, live rat dragging a slice of pizza down the steps into the sewer, into the subway.
Gotcha. I already marked it. Taurus, there are a lot of costumes where you can just slap a little padding on it and make it sexy and just call it a day. Well, we're not sure how you're about to make this work, but you're getting the pretty pencil costume. Yeah. A literal stick of wood is being anthropomorphized into having boobs and hips. Why on earth do you companies need to make inanimate, non-mammal things sexy? So this week, pencils are not sexy. They should never be made to look that way. Hell, why did you even want to be a pencil in the first place? Do we need to schedule an appointment with your therapist again? Because we'll do that for you. We care.
I just found the costume. I just found the costume.
These are all real. These are all real.
Gemini, most of these costume ideas tend to be for more curvaceous bodies. Woo! But this one is specifically going out for the butch among you. Plan on finding the Sergeant Short Pants sexy cop costume and hope for a warm trick-or-treat evening. Anyone familiar with the show Reno 911 knows this costume is supposed to be Lieutenant Jim Dangle, but it's nowhere near short or tight enough to pull off. So this week, if the hot cop outfit doesn't work for you, you can always just wear your UPS driver uniform. You look like you're ready to deliver all the packages in that anyway.
That's also a real costume. I've seen it.
Yes, it is.
I've seen so many variants of these sexy short pants and stuff. Let's see if I can find it.
You don't have to. Cancer Moonchild. The pencil before was a flat 3D object turned sexy, but what about turning something 2D into a costume? Well, look no further, because you've been given the That Solves That cartoon character costume, aka Sexy Velma. Listen, you can do Sexy Velma and still wear a sweater, I promise. Because keep warm. It's chilly out there, late October. So this week, please remember, Velma never carried a gun. Do not wear a bullet bra under whatever sweater you decide to wear. Plus, orange really isn't your color. Trust us on this one.
Orange is not the new black. Although, I really want to know what was in those Scooby snacks.
Leo, your costume, by design, does not come complete and accurate to the source material. And when you're dealing with the House of Mouse, it's probably a good idea to not piss them off in a highly visible way. Just ask DeSantis. With that warning done, you're getting the Snake in My Boot costume, aka Sexy Woody. We can hear some of you hooting like you're a middle school kid learning for the first time that you can type 80085 on your calculator. Turn it upside down and see something naughty on display. What this costume is lacking, besides enough material, is a pull string in the back. So this week, seriously, you knew the numbers were read off were wrong. You've been out of high school how long now? Grow up. Oh, and by the way, as an aside, to fix the drawstring in the back, I just recommend tying one to a butt plug. Somebody pulls on that thing, you're going to say something different.
Please don't take legal advice, medical advice, or costuming advice from a podcast. Least of all ours.
I'm dying here. I'm dying. Virgo, speaking of 58008, we're just going to tell you straight up, you're getting a giant boob costume. It's just what it sounds like, a giant apron with an oversized cloth boob on it. Just one, though. We're not trying to get you picked up for lewd and lascivious behavior or anything like that. So this week, we all know the type of guy who would wear this, and you do not want him at your party. They're the type to tell you that the material they're the type to tell you that the material it's made from is called felt, as in felt up a boob in public. Oh, I read these yesterday and I missed this. Tell them to get a better costume before you let them in for the party.
So, speaking of coincidences, the fact that you bring this up, that dressing as a single boob, when I first moved to where I live now, I went to a Halloween costume party, and there was twins there, 2 ladies. Each one was dressed up as a giant boob, and they locked their arms together, and they were walking around as a pair of boobs. It was
I,
hilarious. And believe it or not, the whole felt thing, yep, they
I'm
use felt.
just I'm just
Mhm.
thinking about hanging a couple dollar bills for my ears. That way I can be a buccaneer.
When
I go as a premature ejaculation. I only come in my pants.
when Fuj and I had to go,
Uh,
when Fuj and I went to a Halloween party for somebody at work, which so we had to be careful about how we approach this. It was supposed to be a come as your porn star name. Now there are various ways of doing this that I've heard. We're not going to go into which one was used because security reasons. You'll figure out in a moment. My wife, reminding you, little woman, little half Japanese woman who looked it. Her porn star name was Fluffy East. I'm just going to go on record as having said, of all the coincidences that could have happened, just universe, just fucking bravo right there, man. That was great. That was, yeah.
my aunt and uncle went to a Halloween party once as Batman and Robin. He was 6'3", 6'2", 6'3". She was 5'6", so just a little bit taller than me. She was Batman.
Libra, look, this one's tough on us all. If we tell you what the name of it is, you're not going to picture the right thing. So just hold your disappointment at bay. Your costume is the pink baby doll costume, and it is literally getting you dressed up to look like a Cupid doll. So it's got a giant bonnet and oversized diapers with a giant safety pin in it. So this week, no, you know what? I'm not even gonna say it. If you can't return or exchange that costume, then just wear your street clothes with a shirt that says, "This is my costume." It will be far classier. Jesus Christ, man. I don't. No.
You know, when you say Kewpie doll, I think of the Kewpie baby on the Kewpie mayonnaise bottle.
Yep. Basically, yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Only
That's
worse.
great.
Only worse. It's worse.
I'm not gonna touch it. Not gonna touch it. Not gonna touch it. Not gonna touch it.
Mm-mm.
Well, there's a new Cupid baby on the market. It happens to be orange.
Fucking what?
There's a new Cupid baby on the market.
I heard you.
It happens to be orange.
I don't want.
Yeah, that.
I don't want to know.
Scorpio, listen, we have no problem with pun costumes when the pun is good. Which, yes, we understand there's an argument to be made about good puns versus bad puns. But the costume has to be more than just a body hugging dress with a pun printed right on the front in text. That's just lazy. Your costume is the tater thought costume. Yeah, sexy tater tots. It just, how? So this week, honestly, Scorpio, just, holy hell, man. We don't even know you anymore. How about going to something simple like, we don't know, maybe Elastigirl? She's a proper thought, right?
Sagittarius. Seriously, we don't know where you all come up with this shit. Okay, another 2D to 3D character called Fab in the Lab Sexy Cartoon Character Costume, aka Sexy Dexter's Laboratory. We have just one thing to say about this. Just one. So this week, who came up with this and where can I find them? We just want to talk to them repeatedly. repeatedly. At least it's
Yeah.
not the sexy lab doctor with the 3 little girls, Bubbles, Buttercup, Blossom.
No. They're Dexter's laboratory. See, you can't do that to Dexter or Dee Dee. If it was their mom, that would be okay.
Dude, that's been done. That's been done to death. That's been done to death.
I understand that, but there should never be a sexy Dexter or sexy Dee Dee. They're children. That's just wrong.
You want to know who?
That's like having a kid-sized T-shirt for young girls, preteens, and it says the word "sexy" on it. Oh wait, they actually do that because stupidity.
Yeah. You know who? If you were to do the costume for sexy Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory, you know what that would be? That would be Dr. Steele. As an aside, out there, we know that you're listening, Dr. Steele. We miss you.
Back and forth.
Capricorn?
I just found sexy Powerpuff Girls.
Because of course you did. Capricorn. Now we're talking. We're getting you a character voiced by Boris Karloff back in the day. So you know this is going to be an actual monster. Boris Karloff, for those of you that don't know who Boris Karloff is, you need to watch some old Boris Karloff stuff. So check this out. Yours is called the Mean One Sexy Movie Character Costume, meaning you've gotten the sexy Grinch. Isn't the original Grinch sexy enough for you? So this week, you were looking at Jim Carrey's badonk in the Grinch movie, weren't you? Yeah. You're getting that costume, and we're going to hot glue gun the zipper in place until you learn your lesson. Bad, Capricorn. Okay? Bad.
Yeah, I second the whole. If you have not seen any of Boris Karloff's work, make it a point to get some popcorn, get some dark lighting, and get to it because it's fabulous.
Oh, the classic Universal monsters. You need to see at least one of each of them because, oh my God, Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney Jr. Holy hell! I think I've got a marathon for myself.
Aquarius.
I just can't. Sorry.
It's okay. Aquarius, here's your chance to be mistaken for sexy Willy Wonka, which, to our credit, there doesn't seem to be one for sale. You're getting the Keep It Pimpin' costume. So, sexy pimp. There are many, many things that are problematic and wrong about this costume, but one of them isn't the boots, cane, and the choker that says sexy on it. So this week, yeah, purple might not be your color, but at least this costume comes complete for you. So maybe it'll be worth it. Learn how to twirl a swagger stick.
Okay. Pisces, you're going old school with one of those great sexy characters from mythology, and we're actually jealous. You're going with a satyr. Not the biblically accurate angel that can be found on Ravelry as a $6.50 pattern. And if you spend a whole bunch of time between now and Halloween, you might actually have it done. No. And there's so much to be dissected here. How about we just centralize on the most obvious part of the satyr costume? The lower half of the body. We found the listing from Chaos Costumes who make the creature feet hooves with faux fur pants and leggings. And they look amazing. The trouble is that part alone runs you $325 US. Maybe you should make that biblically accurate angel instead. So this week, when you said if you won the lottery, you wouldn't say anything, but there are indications this was not what we expected. We're proud of you, but you could have told us. How about you trust us next time?
You'll all be able to look that stuff up later, I promise. Yes.
Yeah.
Those are all real costumes. Yes, I did my freaking homework.
biblically accurate angel headpiece. No.
I'm thinking of obscure couples costumes. I put a little picture that was showing. These are actually kind of neat. Male and female magnificent frigate bird, bridal veil stinkhorn and flesh fly. My personal favorite, the scarab beetle and dung ball. That way, if your date gets drunk, you can just roll them out the door. Or if you're really kinky, leopard sea cucumber and the pearlfish that lives in its anus.
Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Those aren't. Those were. And of course, if you liked what you got, we don't know you anymore.
We don't kink shame here.
We do. Yes, fine. I do. But it's only because I'm judging you and I'm gauging you on how many stars you're going to get. And if one of them happens to be brown, that's between you and your dentist. If you want a better or a nastier one for yourself or someone else, you can bribe me by asking, or just go over to the coffee page and bribe me over there, literally. Coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. I'll have these posted online at the end of the week as usual. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Blue Sky. Boy, howdy, man. I tell you, I do a lot of work on these. I do a lot of research, and I do a lot of homework. And I have a lot of people who are very much of the, how do you come up with this stuff? I ain't telling.
You're calling us out again. Every week, at least one person says you called them out.
It's not intentional. It's just the way that I do business.
And I'm cruising through Ravelry, and I found a ghost walking a dog pattern. And it's cute. It is adorably cute. And it's actually not on Ravelry, and it's free.
Ghosts don't have feet.
That's not the point.
It's okay.
And who says ghosts don't have feet? It's cute.
This is episode 512 on the docket. Your Honor, what's more metal than this? So, if you haven't seen the show notes about this week, and I have a couple of accounts over there on Twitter, because I've had them for a very, 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 very long time. They don't do very much other than pay attention to what's going on with people talking. I don't add new follows over there. I do that over on Blue Sky, which I do have several accounts for. But I had something popped up. I've been following Dee Snider for a little while now. Dee Snider is arguably from Long Island. He's spent, part of his youth over there, same as me. Twisted Sister started effectively, in Jersey. They technically are a Long Island band, technically. So when I saw a thing come across while I'm on one of my breaks at work that Dee Snider was involved with, I took notice because it blipped on my phone. Apparently, a mom of a 9-year-old autistic boy made a shirt. Made a t-shirt. Their kid loves Dee Snider and Twisted Sister and wanted a shirt, a band shirt, so bad. But they couldn't afford to get one. So she made one. She painted one for him. And she uploaded the picture onto Twitter. No, I'm not going to stop calling it that anytime soon, so just get over yourselves. She uploaded it and explained what it was, why she did it. And we've got the link to it over in the show notes. And there was a huge outpouring of love and happiness and respect. People who were saying, amongst other things, that is the most valuable band t-shirt out there. I'm paraphrasing just a little bit because it is a literal one-of-a-kind unique piece. It's priceless. And other people who are saying, if that were on a shirt, I would buy it, which I know full well is just a great way of getting the bots out there to go ahead and start, doing the thing. And so many people who are saying, not only would I buy it, a copy of it, but I would want it to be for charity. And there were some people who actually chimed up and said, I have a shop that does silk screening for shirts. I'll be happy to do that at cost and donate all the proceeds to whatever charity. Dee Snider, comment on it. The one that pinged my attention that said, I am Dee Snider and I approve this t-shirt. Holy hell, was the outpouring just all kinds of glorious for congratulating this mom, best mom of the year, the whole thing. And Dee, in the public, in the public comments and whatnot for this post, said, DM me your mailing details. I've got something for you. No idea. I have no idea what it is. And you know what? I don't care. The fact that this man took a few moments to acknowledge this and basically give a big leather-clad thumbs up to this for the mom, for what she did, that's amazing. That is so amazing and so wonderful. At the time of this recording, I have not checked back in to see what all has happened with it. Like I said, we've got the links to the interactions over in the show notes. But holy hell, was that beautiful to see. And it's the kind of thing that we don't think of often enough. We got plenty enough that we can bitch about, and Lord knows, stuff that deserves to be bitched at. But man, an opportunity to see something like this happen and just reset the counter for how we feel. I loved it. I loved it. And I think it's worth a couple of minutes of just kind of kicking back and going, yeah, you know what interaction I saw that was really beautiful, was really great, that like warmed my heart and reset my feeling for the love of humanity? I think now's about as good a time as any. So I'm going to throw it open to you guys to see what kind of stuff that you remember, because right now, that's my big one. That is really my big one. Stephanie, you're not being exempted from this either. I know there's a lot of crap that's been happening out that way, whether you are part of the mainland or not. There's got to be something that's worthwhile. That does not involve someone being hit in the face with a milkshake. Okay? Just want to be clear about that.
Damn it.
I don't follow as much with British politics. I just know that milkshakes. Okay, it's a crime to get rid of a good milkshake. So I mean, I kind of feel bad about that, but at the same time, there's some people who richly deserve it.
Okay.
And I mean, it's better than getting stabbed. Just saying.
Kamala Harris, in this last week, she was doing a town hall, and this lady who I believe was born in the States, but her parents were Mexican, she managed to get her father his citizenship after all that time.
Ooh.
But they weren't able to get mom her citizenship because she died before it was possible.
Ooh.
And Kamala Harris was sympathetic, whatever, sympathetic, talked to her like she was a person, did not make it about herself, and said, talked about immigration reforms after the town hall meeting was over. Went over to the person and talked to them one-on-one with the mic off and spent several minutes just talking to the person. It was beautiful.
That's great.
And of course, the really big thing that I absolutely love is the the clock app thing that I saw of the Ontario lineman going down to Florida. Help is on the way, dearies. Help is on the way. That's one of the things that Canada and the United States do when it comes to emergencies. You got big fires, we'll send people. You got electrical issues, we'll send people, especially after natural disasters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I'm saying we'll send people as in the different states will send people, but it's not the states that send it, it's the individual people, and they go to their bosses and say, we want to go help. And the bosses say, go for it. Make sure we have enough of a crew here in case shit happens, but go for it. Because they know that if they send help, help will come when they need it. It's not quite paying it forward, but it is paying it forward. And this has been going on for as long as I can remember. The BC wildfires, we had people coming in from all over, and other natural and not so natural disasters. The emergency crews would fly almost immediately. We're on our way. We're coming to help.
Here's a nice one for you. This was back in 2020. It was during COVID. So the Internet Archive announced that they were opening the National Emergency Library, which was a digital collection of over close to 1.5 million books until something like March, April, May, for about 3-4 months, or until the end of the national emergency, whichever happens later, right? So it was a stipulation, it wasn't a permanent thing. So anyone, anywhere in the world, this was not restricted to like just the US and Canada. It was, you could be in Fiji, Kuwait, Ireland, whatever, didn't matter. Anyone could check out a book in that digital library for free, right? And they said, hey, look, if you can buy books because bookstores still need your business. But if you can't, or you can't, what you need is you can't find it in a bookstore, sign up, log in, borrow a book, digitally check it out. When you're done, digitally check it back in. And, um, you know, we saw similar things happen as well, where authors would go, hey, look, I know I normally, our publisher and everything else normally has restrictions and what, but for teachers, you have the permission to read our books over the internet via YouTube and Zoom and all these other things and record them so that your students can play them whenever they want to listen to a story being told, being read by another person because of the importance of books and because of the importance of learning. And the amount of articles I would see of this happening was it was like pushing a pebble down a snowy mountain. It became a huge snowball and then an avalanche of just authorization after authorization. Most of them were temporary until the pandemic was declared over or national emergencies were shut down or whatever. But it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And then some of the authors themselves started reading um, Shakespeare. They started reading their own books. They started doing all sorts of stuff. Television personalities and movie personalities like Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart. Sorry, forgot the title. Um, yeah, he was doing. Was it Shakespeare? I
Yep.
believe it was. Yeah, and he was doing a lot of it. Like every day, he was reading the next little piece, and it was so beautiful. And for a long time, people were really interested in books again and reading and listening to people read and so on. And it was just awesome because so many people needed that. And these authors and these publishers and these libraries recognized it and said, This doesn't cost us a damn thing. This doesn't hurt us. This does nothing but help people. Hell yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah, sideways from that, there is also the concern from a lot of groups that publishing companies would say, "Don't do that," and according to U.S. copyright law, under technicalities, yeah, that's they do have to say that. However, the long and short of it is, and I'm not a lawyer, so don't take legal advice from a podcast. As I've understood it, if someone is infringing on your copyright, whether it's well-meaning or not, and you find out about it and you do nothing about it, then you have effectively given away your copyright so that anybody and everybody could theoretically use it. So when some of these folks were just like, we'd like to do it, but we're kind of worried about these publishing houses telling us not to because they're technically right. The one writer that I very specifically remember who came out and said, "You have my permission to use all of my written works for helping people now and reading them publicly and recording them publicly in this time of, it was in the middle of the lockdowns of the pandemic." The writer in question was Neil Gaiman.
Yep.
Now, I want to also point out something else, because not only was he such an incredibly wonderful and giving personality and human being on this one, he's also the same one that said, there are those of you that are sharing the manuscripts. I forget if it was the manuscript shooting scripts or something or other for, oh God, what the hell was it? Good Omen? No, it was for Good Omen 2.
Or Good Omen?
I think for Good Omen 2, I do believe, or something like that. And he put out this plea he asked gentlemanly, please stop sharing this. He had his reasons, which basically included, I want to be able to do it properly so that, people will actually be interested in it later and not have stuff spoiled and not be, all up on my bun about it. And was a gentleman about it and said, please stop doing that. And if you've already got it, please just don't share it anymore. Maybe delete it, but, just don't do that anymore, please. Lovely person. Lovely personality that way. It's so great to hear, people who've done exactly that kind of thing. Now, completely different track than that for a second. Literally. There was a story that I remembered from, and I'm pulling up the link over here because I've got both the Wikipedia entry about it, which is very, very dry, but the Gizmodo article. The article name is "That Time a Canadian Town Derailed a Diesel Train and Drove it Down the Street to Provide Emergency Power." That's the headline. That's the title. That's the title right there. That 14-hour thing that I just read off, that's the title of it. Loosely, in 1998, there was a suburb of Montreal that was under heavy snow, knocked out a lot of power. So what they ended up doing was they acquired, temporarily, a locomotive from CN. I forget what CN stands for. I don't have it immediately.
Canadian National.
Canadian
And
National.
yes, I remember this. The snow was so deep that it was essentially the equivalent of hurricane amounts of rain that had in Florida recently. The 2 hurricanes all dumped in the middle of winter, and because it's snow, it was easily 20 feet high. So it was taller than some buildings, and people could not get out. There's still pictures on the net that you can find where there's a car on a road and it's one lane each way, and it's just walls of snow all the way up. That was during then. And yeah, I remember the news reports. I remember it happening.
Yeah, so I'll make sure that the link is in the show notes for you. Now, according to this, it was 3 successive ice storms, which brought down power lines and the towers supporting them, which of course takes a hell of a lot longer to fix. 1.5 million people without power in the middle of winter. So just to boil this one down, they got a diesel locomotive from Canadian National, brought it to this town, took it off the tracks, and by a crane, they took it closer to the municipal buildings. And because the generators work on 60 hertz signal at I forget what the exacts are on it. You know, it doesn't matter. They ended up powering part of the town. I think it was just the municipal buildings and the emergency services groups, but it was enough to get things going so that they had the ability of getting stuff going and getting some power out. And it wasn't the first time that they'd done something like that. There was another time they did something similar. They got another one of those, basically it's a giant rolling generator, and they put the generator power into a high school that was being used as a warming station. Power the high school. I love hearing about stuff like this where you're not exactly thinking out of the box, but you are most assuredly thinking, what can you make the box into? This kind of origami thinking, I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad to live in a world where there are engineers who can think like this and go, you know what? I don't care what it was designed to do. I want to know what it can do. And let's make it do that. And yes, I'm basically ripping off from the movie Apollo 13. I don't care. And I'm saying that as somebody who adores what Grumman was able to do back in the day. That poor Grumman tech. If that scene was at all accurate, the Grumman tech going, well, we designed the LEM engine to land on the moon. I can't guarantee it's going to do anything more for you. It's like, dude, we don't care about the moon. We've got 3 guys to come home. What the fuck? Yeah, there've been some right nasty storms. Holy shit.
I found a couple links to it.
Yeah, like I said, I got the Gizmodo and I've got the Wikipedia entry. So
I got the Montreal Ggazette version.
So it's in Francophile.
Nope, it's actually in English.
Oh, so it's not in frog speak. Great. Gotcha. Cool. We'll make sure that that's in there. And Stephanie was pointing out a couple steps backwards, by the way, pointing out, and rightly so, Sir Patrick was a Shakespearean actor before Star Trek. True. He was also a weapons master in film with hair. I don't remember if it was his own hair or it was borrowed. I don't care. He was in Dune. All right, he was in Dune. The first Dune movie.
25 years at the Royal Shakespearean Theatre, and this is where I am, Jonathan.
You know, he really did not think that was going to do anything.
It's proven to be a honest, consistent paycheck since the first show aired.
Yeah, since 80. Let me see if I remember right. It debuted in 87, September of 87. Yes, I remember this very clearly because I was at college at the time. And I did not want to miss out on that. And I tried to explain to my dad, how do you videotape it? Yeah, he basically had not unpacked his suitcase, basically, for the first couple of months. because he really did not think it was going to be anything worthwhile, and oh, how wrong he was.
Him and Ian McKellen, their bromance, beautiful.
Yeah, there's that. You know what? All right, there's only one other one that I can think of. That really, and I hate to say it, was that kind of a bromance, and that was Bruce Springsteen and Clarence Clemens. They were not lovers. They were close. They were as close to being in love without being in love. It was, hearing the stories all these years later about how close they were, how much they admired each other, how much they enjoyed being around each other. I mean, hell, there were a couple of there are videos from when they were on tour out there in the middle of everything, and had no problem with Bruce coming over and to Clarence Clemens, the sax player, and just on stage all of a sudden just giving a real quick lip to lip kiss, like you would for a casual, not on the cheek kiss obviously, but a casual lip to lip kiss, because why the hell not, man? We love each other. And I have to say, used to, because, Clarence is now gone. And that hurts because he was such a great person to watch on stage, man. He had the friggin' best time. I mean, you could just see it in the way that he did it. I'm sorry. It just kind of hurts. But yeah, Sir Ian and Sir Patrick, Clarence and Bruce. I'm trying to think of who else I can think of that had like that kind. I mean, all right, we could go ahead and say that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman kind of do, kind of don't. Then again, I'm planning on seeing Deadpool and Wolverine later this
Oh,
week.
you're going to love it. You're going to bring your special sock.
I don't have one. I don't need one.
There are 2 scenes that are worth the entire movie.
Okay.
One of them is in the car, and the other one's near the end, and that is all I'll say.
Okay. Okay, we'll see about that. What about you, Tech? You think of any otherwise seemingly borderline platonic groups, couples, and whatnot that kind of make you go, yeah, man, that's good mojo, those people.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Ooh.
He and is it his wife? Let me see here.
Keanu Reeves is the guy that will stand up on the subway in order to let a little lady or a pregnant woman sit, or somebody who cannot stand for the ride. And he won't make a fuss about it. He'll just stand up and offer the seat. Keanu Reeves will sit there with somebody who is despondent and just let them talk. Because this is stuff he's done.
Well, so what? First off, Keanu Reeves comes from his background. If you look up the history of Wikipedia entries and things like that, he's had a lot of bad things happen in his life. A lot of things that happened to a lot of people. He got hit with a lot of it, one thing after another, after another, after another. And he still enjoys sitting on a park bench, eating a small ice cream cone, talking to people, meeting his fans, doing little things. Um, And you know, he's the kind of guy that if you said, "Hey, man, I got a problem. You think you could like stop for a minute and listen?" He would stop and he would honestly listen because somebody's in need. He's done a lot of good works, and it just you know he doesn't project himself or claim to be perfect. A lot of people do idolize him. I don't. He's a human being and he makes his own mistakes and he has his own problems and his own issues and everything else. But that aside, he does a lot of good things and he tries to put out more good in the world than harm. And because of this, I do look up to him, just not as a hero and not as an idol. I see him as a good person. And the thing is that a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of people out there that is just like Keanu Reeves. They're just not famous or rich or movie stars. So they don't get that kind of publication for it. Another case in point, who's that that world wrestler? Uh, Bloody hell, what's his name? Uh, God, I can't. He makes the weird hand sign.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Uh, anyway, there's this one particular wrestler, and I can't for the life of me.
let it go. What has he done?
Well, so one of the things that he did was he's fulfilled one of the most prolific fulfillers of the Make a Wish Foundation dreams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's one of the one of many requested wrestlers to visit people that have made requests of the stars from the World Wrestling. Um, he when he would do things, he made sure there was no press, not because of the press problems that other wrestlers has had, but because he didn't want the good deeds that he was doing publicized in any way, shape, or form at all. And so things wouldn't come out until long after they were done. And he was just such a nice guy. He his original character was kind of mean or spirited or whatever in the wrestling arena, but that was his character. He himself is not his character, and he's been doing movies too, which is why, for the life of me, I can't remember his name, and I'm pissed about it. Um, but yeah, when he's not on in his wrestling persona, he's just he's a gentle giant. He's kind towards others. He does all sorts of fundraisers for those who are in need or are hurting, dying, whatever. And sure, other ones have done it too. But it's just he doesn't want the publicity for it. He doesn't want people, um, waving the flag of, "Oh, look how great he is." He doesn't want that kind of crap.
I think I know who it is. I think it's John Cena.
Yes, yes, John Cena. Yeah.
He has very much seemed to be a very down to earth personality.
Hmm. And he's not the only one. There's plenty of them that really are down to earth, like the Undertaker and so on. They just don't want it publicized because they don't want people idolizing them like that. They really don't. They want the good things to be good on their own merit for the people that they're intended for, those who are in need, not to put it up on Facebook and claim, "Oh, I'm this great person. Look what I did," like so many people do on Facebook or Twitter or any of those other things. Which is, I taught my, um, I do every year at key points throughout the year. I do donations. I send in bags of unopened, newly purchased, completely unopened bags of men's socks, men's underwear, and so on and so forth. Because people donate clothes, but you should not donate used undergarments, right? And I specifically do men's stuff because I know men who are in need. I know a lot of men in my area don't get these things. Um, I have a friend who's a social worker. And when the donations come in, there's a lot of donations for women's feminine care, women's undergarments who aren't, or that are still sealed in the packaging and so on and so forth. But there seems to be a uh, a drought. If the women's special needs stuff um, is in surplus, the men's stuff is in a drought. So because of my area that has that kind of a drought, I tend to focus on that stuff, and I don't publicize. I mean, this is as close as you're going to get to publicizing as what I'm saying here. But you don't know who I am. You don't have my social media contacts, and so on and so forth. And I'm not giving it out because I don't want to brag about it. But I was doing it with my son, and the first time I did it with him, he's like, "Dad, why are you throwing all that in there?" And I had to explain to him what happens when you where the donations go to and what can be reused and what can't, the health concerns and so on. And he's like, I didn't know that. And I said, I understand. I don't usually talk about this much, but that's why we're doing it together. So you can see for yourself that this is what's needed for this area. You go to a different area, this may not be the norm. If you go to a different area, there may be a surplus of these kinds of garments and such for men, but maybe the women's needs are not being met. So in which case, that is a hole to fill right there. Phrasing, sorry. That is a need to fill there. And so get in contact with like local social workers and local donation centers and say, hey, what are you guys short on? Go to your local food pantry and say, hey, look, I know that some food pantries, if you give them monetary donations, they can buy more food than what I could buy with it because they might get surplus discounts or bulk discounting, whereas we might not, you know? And if they get bulk discounting, I feel better about giving them the money because they're going to figure out what they have a lack of and use that money, get it in bulk, and fill those needs. Whereas if they don't get those kinds of discounts and such, I'll find out what they're short on and I'll see if I can help fill it because there are people in need, but I don't advertise it because there's just no need. I don't. I really hate when I see YouTubers going, "We're going to cook 100 meals and give it to the homeless." It's like, great, but you've just made more money than you've spent by turning this into a whole YouTube thing. And so it's one of those, you did good, you made money doing it, and hopefully you're going to use that money that you make to keep doing it. But at the same time, it kind of feels a little off.
I get you.
That's just me personally. Everybody's different.
Yep.
When it comes to feminine supplies, I kept a couple of baskets in my bathrooms and I kept them full for myself. But as my kids grew up and their friends grew up, one of them was a trans boy. And their father would not buy feminine supplies for them, at least not the ones that they wanted to use. So occasionally, once every couple months, they'd come and raid my supplies. I didn't make a fuss about it. I just was like, they're there to be used. And as my kids grew up and grew older, I actually set up for them, each of them, a little packet to carry in their backpacks of feminine supplies. All three of them carried it. And one of them, the boy of the group, one of his female friends was, I've got my period. I don't have any supplies. I need something right now. And he just handed her the package. She, he was a hero to her.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I hate to say it this way, but that's really how it should be. We teach our kids, or collectively, I should say, community collectively, our kids, how to deal with the biological reality of life so that it's a non-issue. Okay, well, I've got these things because sooner or later there's going to be a need for it. Cool. You need a pencil, you need a pen. Cool. You need a pad, you need a tampon. Cool. Here you go.
Actually, the elementary school principal was in tears because I handed her teen-sized pads. She said, "No parent donates that to us. Thank you so much." Because she knew that she had at least two girls in the 6, 7-year age and at least one in the grade 5 that were probably menstruating if they weren't actually menstruating that day. And they needed the supplies. And I told her, "Look, let me know when you need more." Um, as for names and celebrities that are really, really generous with what they do, Johnny Depp. All the times he wears his Captain Jack Sparrow outfit and does Make a Wish and shows up at children's hospitals or just shows up at Disney and say, "Hey, I'm going to have some fun today."
And
I was
sometimes the staff don't even know that he's about to do that until all of a sudden, oh shit, Depp's here. What do we do? Let him do whatever he wants. Okay.
I was 16 years old. I was an extra on Jump Street. I know exactly which episode it is. I'll tell you later if you ask. It was after the filming for the extras was done, and I was waiting around chatting with one of the other people that was actually one of the actors and asking about what's it like being an actor. Told him I wanted to be a stunt woman. I was acrobatic. I had some skills. I could ride a horse. I could do a bunch of stuff. I was learning how to drive a car. Da 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 da. I could do some stunts on my bike. And the guy was like, "Go for it." He was really, really sweet. Johnny Depp comes out with his bodyguard. And a couple of the mean girls in school had been hanging around near me because they wanted to snap his picture. And they snapped his picture and they were doing it stealthily and snapped his picture a couple times. I pulled out my camera and I take a photo, and his bodyguard just tries to grab my camera. And he says, "No, no, no, no. Give me your address, sweetie." So I gave him my name, my address. And about a month later, a signed copy of one of his headshots showed up. I had that up until about 12-ish years ago when my ex threw it out with a bunch of other of my papers.
I bet
He
you dollars to donuts that if you were to write an email or a letter to the guy saying what happened and that you would be willing to pay for a replacement, he would send you 2 or 3 or 4 copies free of charge.
It
actually
wouldn't.
one of the Mexican families here, one of the Latino families, I told them the story and they said, "Here, have a photo." And it was one of his photos.
Well, damn.
It wasn't signed, it was just, "Here, have it." So I could actually mail that photo to him saying da, da, da. The picture of him showed his eagle tattoo that was on his shoulder, and he was young and he was gorgeous, and I remember it. And none of the other girls got that. They actually got shooed away.
Because of
They got
course they did.
yeah.
It's a so I've met I this is not me bragging. I was taken to a convention by a friend who knew several actors personally and introduced me. One of them was even an actress in a horror movie that I had absolutely adored because she played her role so well. She was just amazing in it. And so I got to meet a whole bunch of people I never thought I would ever meet, let alone shake their hands. And I didn't fanboy over them. I treated them with respect. I treated them like a fellow human being who was, in a career field that I could never hope to be in, but that I appreciated. I told them that I appreciated the works that they did, that they gave me laughter or amusement, entertainment, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I will, as long as I live and have a working memory, I will always have good memories. And it's something that they don't hear enough. Instead, they hear the, "Oh, I love you, blah, 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 I'm gonna marry you," and all this other bullshit. So when you treat another human being with respect, granted, respect does deserve to be earned, but when you start off with the premise of behaving respectfully until they prove they're not worth it, you will find that most of the time your respect that initial respect will be returned in equal amounts or in multitudes. And that's what happened to me. Was it was returned in multitudes. I was allowed to tag along. I was had conversations that other people weren't allowed to interrupt. And people are like, well, what's so special about that person? What's so special about her or him or so on? The people that I was with, the norms, if you will. Because it wasn't just me and this one person, it was several of us. We went as a group. Why are they getting special treatment? The resentment was there, but we were behaving differently. I've said for a long time, one of my favorite musicians is Weird Al Yankovic. And if I ever got to meet him, I know exactly what I would say to the man, and I know exactly the tone I would use and the politeness I would use. And based on other people I know who have met the man, personally have met the man, and have a similar attitude that I have, I can understand and expect what his response would be like in the nature of it. The same return to courtesy and everything else, assuming he's not on an extreme time crunch to get somewhere else, like when he's on tours and such. So, um, it's one of those things where I would love to personally tell him how he positively impacted my youth and even some of my worst times. And I know he would appreciate it. But if I don't get that chance, eh, you know, I think he's heard it plenty of times.
Okay,
And because there are a lot of people who, when they meet him, um, don't do the fanboy thing because he doesn't respond to the fanboy or fangirl thing. And a lot of his fans have learned that.
Weird Al, I actually got tickets for his show at the Orpheum on or about my birthday. And I was completely delirious because of heat stroke, and he did not treat me like I was a shit because, yeah, he was really sweet. But still about 5 feet away, and that's fine because, he had a show to put on and I was delirious. I've been doing work at the softball game as security for 8 hours or more for 3 days straight, and that was the last day, and I was woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. And I went straight from there to his show. Peter Mayhew. You do remember Chewbacca, right? The original?
Yep.
I was 19 years old and I met him. And I told him and talked to him that, I'm trying to learn how to ink other people's artwork. And I'm having lots of problems doing it. Da 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 da. He asked for my address. In storage up in Canada, I still have the pictures that he sent me and I still haven't inked them. He and I talked. I didn't even realize who he was. And when he told me he was Star Wars afterwards in Chewbacca, I was like, I love that. But I was wondering why he was taking the plane instead of the train across country. And he said, trains don't really fit me that well. Well, there's roomettes and stuff. You could stay in one of those. No, I prefer the plane. And he stood up.
And up. And up.
And he let me hug him. And I know I'm Carrie Fisher's height because of how tall Chewbacca is versus... Yeah. He was a sweetie. I never did ink it because by the time I was able to ink it, I'd had an injury to my hand that would no longer allow me to be the artist I was almost. But boy, meeting him.
Yeah. And I've said about these two things before, that when my son took me out to wanted us to go out to the sci-fi convention in Rochester, and I had the chance to speak with Denise Crosby. In the meet and greet room, it was $5 for a picture or whatever it was for an autograph, and I'm just like, no, man, I didn't come over here for any of that. I just wanted to talk with you briefly, say thank you for your stuff. And was my son that suggested we come over. Bring him over a little bit. And we did. And she said hi and spoke to us. And that's a piece that I treasure because, like my son had said, a picture shows that you were at the same place at the same time, but you actually spoke. And that's more important. The piece that I did that was kind of on the, not exactly on the opposite side of it, but in a weird way to me was kind of backwards. The first year that I went to Anthrocon, which depending as to what time of the year you're talking about it, is or is not the largest furry convention in North America or the world. It's something that fluctuates a lot depending as to what time of the year you're at. But the first year that I got told to go, and I went, was 2 years after my wife had died. And I made sure that I would look through the dealer's room first and find all of the artists that I had been watching on various art sites. And I made a point to come over to them. Each one of them that was there that I recognized. I waited my turn, came over, I introduced myself, and in some cases I even gave a handshake to, an actual good proper handshake, or offered one, and thanked them for sharing of their talents and skills for all of us, for basically no other anything other than just a thank you. And you would be amazed at the number of them that were just absolutely flabbergasted that somebody would do that. And I made it a point to do it. And there are several artists now, big name artists, who know me and like me for exactly that reason, because I treated them with far and away more respect than a lot of others had. And I made them realize that they were respected and appreciated and wanted to treat them like good people. And if I was going to go ahead and not name drop any of them, believe it or not, I will name drop one guy. I'll name drop two because they're kind of cool buddy this way. Eric the Schwartz, the one who had done Amy Squirrel and various depictions of Zigzag Skunk, and, well, the creator of Zigzag, Max Black Rabbit. I wanted them to know that they were appreciated. And for all of the fans that they've had over the years, it honestly shocked me how so many of the artists had no idea that anybody would treat them like that and say thank you and just be respectful like that. That hurts me. But I'm glad, not that I am set apart because of that, but I'm glad that I was able to give that. Because damn, artists of many mediums do not get the respect and the admiration, not the admiration, the respect and recognition, that's what I was looking for, that they otherwise should. So if you know someone who is an artist of some stripe, especially a non-visual one, let them know that they're recognized and they're appreciated and they are worthwhile, because it don't happen very often.
Okay, back during COVID, I met a guy on TikTok. He was in Calgary. No, he's not Dallin, somebody else. He's a DJ and music producer now and more. And he was on the ADHD autism journey to diagnosis. And he started a group, and it went over to Discord, and it went from a couple of people to a couple thousand people to, I think, about 60,000 people or more in that Discord group. I don't even keep track anymore. Um, when I first left Canada, the day I left Canada, I had won 50, no, 500,000 7-Eleven points. There was a contest going on. I actually won it in October, but it took them a month and a half in order for them to get it to roll over and actually give it to me. So I had this really high amount of points at 7-Eleven that I could use, but because I was in the States and I couldn't use them in the States, there was nothing for me to do to use them. He had a kid that was having some difficulties at school, and I said, "Here, use my phone number, tell me what you want, and I will buy it with the 7-Eleven points." And he gave me a list of things that he wanted, a couple Slurpees, stuffed animal, da 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 da. And I got a message from them saying, "Thank you so much. This was so sweet." And I said, "Yeah, anybody in the group who's in Canada who needs a Slurpee break because their ADHD is making them go crazy and want to believe that yes, somebody gives a shit about them, they can message me. They can say that their crazy aunt has all these points and is sharing them with the family." And I was down to 375,000, something like that. And I took a look at my points this past week and I'm back over 400,000. What the hell? They multiplied? Because I don't go to 7-Eleven down here anymore. The Slurpees down here are shit. They're half air. And it's not healthy for me anyway. But for a while there, I think I gave 7 or 8 people the courage to go on for one more day. I didn't keep track. I just said, just let me know. What do you need? What do you want? Because all you have to do is punch in my phone number and you could get it.
Tech, we're getting close to quitting time, so I'll give you one more go round.
I don't have too many more things without giving away too much or
Hmm.
basically identifying people or places that shouldn't be in the show.
No, that's fine.
Just because I and there are some stories I would love to tell, but they're not my story to tell.
That's all right.
What I can say is that as much as when I turn on the news and listen to the radio, and I just absolutely hate humanity. I still hear the good things. Neighbors helping out neighbors, people helping out strangers in need, uh, groups coming together when other groups are attacking them because that level of unity is necessary. Um, it staves off that kind of existential angst and anger and everything else. Yeah, there's a lot of bad in the world, but um, it damn near drove me crazy during COVID, all the bullshit and crap to the point of where I ended up getting rid of, my social media accounts because I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't turn on the news because not because of COVID, but because of all the bad that people were doing because of COVID. They were using it as an excuse to do certain, say things or do things or hurt people. But at the same time, those other articles that I'd read about people doing beautiful things for their neighbors and their, complete strangers, that helped temper those issues. And we still see it. I mean, COVID's back on the rise again. People are getting sick. People are getting bedridden. Um, and around me, I see plenty of people who don't care. But at the same time, I've been focusing on watching the ones that do care. You know, you watch for the good ones. You watch the quiet ones who do the proper things that need to be done, but aren't, you know, um, publicizing it. And I try to ensure I'm supporting those people because we need more good in the world. And I don't mean we need more people to pray for one another, because those of us here don't believe that for a moment that works. But if I do something nice, or somebody else does something nice, and the person who's a recipient says, "Oh, thank you, God bless you," I shrug it off as that is the way that they've been indoctrinated to show their gratefulness. Okay, fine. That's not the time to have that kind of conversation, if at all, ever. May never be able to have that conversation with somebody. But the fact that they're showing the gratitude, you know, they're recognizing that they're being helped in a difficult time, that still gives help. That still gives that tempering. And then seeing the good people saying, "Oh, you're welcome," no reciprocity needed. If somebody offers to pay for something in for what they were given or whatever, because you don't pay for a gift. When you receive a gift, you don't pay for it. It's not a gift anymore at that point; it's a purchase. And I still see it now. If I stop seeing it, something's gone horribly wrong. And so I hope I don't ever stop seeing it.
Look at my 7-Eleven rewards. I just posted it in the host chat. 445,898 points. I can't use them.
Yeah,
Yep.
there was a coffee shop near me that went out of business, and I had something like, oh God, I had something like 7,000 points, which it was hard to earn points. Only certain things generated points. It was a privately run business, a little mom and pop shop and everything else. But I had a lot because I used to go there a lot, and because they had damn good coffee. And when they announced they were going out of business, there was no real limit on using the points except per transaction, not per day, not per person, per transaction. So on the second to last day, when people were coming through the door, I started buying people free coffees with my points.
Hey, why not?
And the owner's like, "Really?" I was like, "I've earned these points. I never used them. What else am I going to do with them? You're going out of business." And they're like, "Yeah, you're not wrong, but try not to do it on anything too expensive. Whatever I can make left is going to help close up the shop and everything else." I said, "Nope, just a cup of coffee. I will limit it to that, one per transaction. That's my promise." And they were like, "Okay, go ahead." And towards the end of the evening, like, that was actually really kind of nice to see, even though I'm closing up that, so many people got to try the coffee and everything else. And I said, "Thank you."
Cool.
It was nice. It was a
So,
good feeling.
so Stephanie posted a thing, and I'm going to acknowledge that one really quickly, saying this has been the most uplifting show. Well, first off, of course, thank you so much. I vaguely remember that a furry convention was on when a group of traumatized refugees were housed in the same hotel. I also specifically remember that one because there were a number of pictures that happened where I knew the fursuiter who had a suit, a mascot suit of Gilda the Griffin from My Little Pony. And I happen to have known them. And yes, it had happened back in 2016, March of 2016, and it happened in Vancouver. So I do have several news articles that I will be adding to the show notes for exactly that reason, because why the hell not? Yeah.
I think that was the furry convention that my ex and I saw as we were driving away from Vancouver and towards the ferries, and went, shit, if we had known, we could have gone there instead with the kids.
Yeah. I mean, say what you will about the furries because of whatever preconceived notions folks have gotten from so many different bad sources. When push comes to shove, furries will be there when there is a need for, let's put it this way, when there is a need for a warm, fuzzy feeling. And yeah, I'm speaking metaphorically instead of actually physically, although you come to a con, man, the way of saying hi is typically a hug, so long as they've got something that says yes, hugs are good. But on top of everything else, please always remember, furries make the internet work. If anything happens to a group of furries, the internet goes down. It's our fault. So, yes, I will have those. I will have those news articles put in the show notes so that you guys can take a look at that. For like the next 2 minutes, real quick, we were mentioning about the emergency communication stuff. I know it's kind of past the hurricane season and the worry for those kinds of storms, but considering that the last hurricane going through the Florida area sparked off at least one tornado ahead of it, I think it's safe for us to go ahead and make a couple of suggestions if you want to have like an emergency box, like an old toolbox or tackle box, just to have something for just in case. So I'm going to start it off with one of the best and easiest ones, a hand-cranked emergency portable radio and light combination. And I say that because hand crank it, if there's no power, it will operate off of batteries, typically, like C-cell batteries. They'll also typically have a hand crank, so it's got its own generator, got a light, usually 2 different types, and an AM/FM radio, maybe even a shortwave receiver, maybe a weather band receiver. But at this point, a lot of these also come with their own internal rechargeable batteries so that you can charge your own devices off of USB power. First and foremost, if you needed an emergency box, that's going to be my first suggestion. Tech, I know that you want to jump one item.
A tool. Now, there's an argument to be made between having a Swiss Army pocket knife that has, like a little pair of pliers, like I carry around the Handyman. Okay. It's a wonderful Swiss Army pocket knife, but you want something, that little pair of pliers is good for little tiny tasks. Some of those tools don't, if you flex them the wrong way, they'll snap right off the Swiss Army knife. So, I mean, you want to carry that in your pocket for an everyday carry, sure, go ahead. But something to put in the toolbox, you want something more along the lines of like a Victorinox Swiss tool, or the ever popular Leatherman, like the Leatherman Wave. Those are 2 very popular, very sturdy multi-tools that have screwdrivers, they have files, they have, the full, they uh, fold out into a very sturdy pair of pliers. I would argue that the Swiss tool pliers are actually more durable because they don't have the extreme needle nose tip. They have a blunted tip, so you're less likely to snap it off. And I know people say, "Hey, American made." I've had a SOG, which is American made. I broke it using it regularly within normal parameters. I sent it back, and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, no, we'll replace it." And then the replacement broke, and I'm like, "I can't use this. I'm using this the way they said is within reasonable tolerances, and it's breaking." And I went right back to using my old ass Swiss tool because it just works, and it's strong and sturdy, and it does a great job. It's not a fix everything tool, but if you've got a small pot that's cooking over a fire and the handle breaks off of it, you whip out those pliers. It's an instant handle, because you're going to want to boil water in certain circumstances. You've got, you
Yep.
need to take a door off its hinges. The screwdrivers are sturdy enough to do that, so that sort of thing. And it folds up and you can put it in a pocket. So you can grab it out of the toolbox, put it into your pants pocket or your purse or duffel bag or whatever, and you've got a backup tool that can get a lot of things done. They're
Io,
also good for camping.
yeah. Io, you got a singular item?
Not necessarily a physical item, it's acts of kindness. Sometimes that 10-second thing that you do could be the difference between somebody having a good day or a horrible day. If you choose not to do it, they're not going to have such a great day. But if you choose to do it and it takes that 10 seconds, minute, 2 minutes out of your time, go ahead and do it. Because that little bit of kindness will come back to you.
Yeah. I'm gonna finish this piece right here as we close with just one extra piece that I don't think anybody can argue with. If you're looking to add power to a go box, to a jump bag, because you're going to do emergency comms, you want to make sure that you've got extra battery power for whatever it is that you're taking along with you, whatever that entails, lead acid batteries, lithium ion battery packs, whatever it is. If you don't know how to wire stuff up so that it is double fused correctly, don't use that. Don't add it to your collection, because lead acid batteries, lithium ion batteries, polymer batteries, all of these battery packs that are something other than just dry cell batteries, they have such incredible amounts of dense power that once they have a thermal runaway, you're done. Whatever it is that they are contained in is going to go up in flames. And if that also includes mixed stuff like a mixed lead acid battery along with a lithium ion battery, and both are fully charged, that lithium ion battery, if it goes, it's taking the lead acid with you. And God's help you if you're in an enclosed space and they both go up at the same time. Don't do that. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do that. You're going to kill yourself. And I don't say that lightly.
You know, there is one more thing I want to recommend, and this one's going to seem so simple
Quickly.
that people are like that they're going to think, oh, I don't need to worry about that. A Bic lighter, a run-of-the-mill, regular run-of-the-mill Bic lighter. If you go on YouTube and watch any of the survivalist people talk about Bic lighters, they'll show. First off, your Bic lighter flint, the thing that makes the spark, you can get more uses out of that than you can the fuel in the Bic lighter. That's number one. So it throws a spark, which means you don't have to carry around what's called a ferro rod or flint and steel, because if you have a Bic lighter that's out of fuel, it will still work. Secondly, if you have a knife, the plastic that comprises the Bic lighter is flammable to in terms of helping to start a fire if you shave it into very thin curls. Okay, so if you have that Swiss multi-tool or um, the uh, uh, the Leatherman, you can do that with the file. Just grind it into a powder over your kindling, and it will help start a fire even in wet conditions using the sparks. A survivalist was showing that he found a broken one where there was definitely no fuel in it because it couldn't contain anything, it was broken. And he used it to literally do what I said. Filed the plastic, he filed off the sharp pieces of it so it wouldn't hurt him when he put it back in his pocket. It made a little pile of plastic shavings, and they just took off the metal shielding around the top so that the sparks could really shower out of it when he flicked it. He flicked the Bic. After a few times, the little plastic made a little flame, and he was able to take his kindling bundling and start a fire with it. And he was in the rain. So, you know, a Bic lighter does not take up a lot of room. It is usefulness past the end of the fuel contained within. And even if it does have fuel within it, it's a light source, it's a fire source, it's a heat source. It can mean the difference between having drinkable water, life and death, being able to create light to see in the dark, making a triangular formation of three small fires, which when you make three small fires in a triangular formation, anybody in a search helicopter knows that that's the signal for I need help. That is universal. So a Bic lighter goes a very long way. And those things are thick plastic, so they last.
We're running super.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I really
Um,
wanted to get that out there
Yeah,
because it's understated how useful
really
they
quick
are.
on.
one last thing. When it comes to your not EDC, emergency daily kit, but your emergency kit that you keep at home for earthquakes, hurricanes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because you don't know who's going to be showing up at your door for help, stick a stuffed animal in there. There's a chance that there might be a kid that is completely distraught because everything has just gone to shit and their parents are trying, and you're the safe place that everybody's come to. Stick a stuffed animal in the kit. Give the kid the stuffed animal.
That's wow. Yeah, I would not have otherwise thought of that one. Um, there is one last item. Because we are in a technological era where we get notice of these things coming, these big ass storms, hurricanes, or snowstorms, as Stephanie is reminding us. Snow season's coming. Yeah. None of us are going to argue with this one. If there's a big storm that's planning, that's brewing, check with your pharmacy for your prescription. If it's possible to get a couple of extra pills or a refill early, just in case, like a week ahead of a possible big massive storm, do what you can. Get in contact. Ask. The worst that can happen is they say no. But if you're on maintenance meds and you're getting low, don't leave it to the last minute. Ask. With that, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We appreciate you being with us. Glad that you're able to do it. We look forward to having you with us again, and we hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives. Io, what can I say? We will talk with the judge about possible extension of your parole privileges, and we'll get you out of here one of these days.
I'm stuck here for life.
Considering I'm the judge, yeah.
Great.
But I'm glad you're able to make it. Thank you, hon. You take care of yourself, huh?
Well, in a couple weeks, I might be phoning it in.
This is true. This is
And
true.
that's all I'll say.
We'll see about that. But you have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
Pausing a second. Stephanie, thank you. Glad you're able to make it. You take care of yourself also this morning. Tech, look at that. No storms on the horizon for you right now. Knock, knock on whatever there is that's wood around me right now. You take care of yourself, huh?
Yeah, but we're getting a little bit of a heat wave coming through, and it's God, it was 81, 82, somewhere around there today. But in the sun, because of the haze in the atmosphere, all the moisture in the area that I live in, it felt like 90 degrees out in the sun today. We had 40 degrees just a couple days ago, and then it goes from 40 to 90, and it's just like,
32? Yeah, 33 Celsius is what it was feeling like for you then. To put into perspective for people that actually don't do freedom units per caliber or whatever the hell it is. Up over here in the Buffalo market, 12? Yeah, 12, 13 degrees recently, which has been making it interesting. And that's like the highs.
wow.
So it's 55 Fahrenheit in the middle of the afternoon from about 10 degrees Fahrenheit lower, which means it starting off at 7 degrees in the morning, getting to 12, 13 in the afternoon. So
This is where you guys hate me. It's currently 62 freedom units, 17 Celsius. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 70 or better, like at 3 a.m.
yeah, 20,
Yeah.
21. Perfect.
I could have been wearing shorts and t-shirt and still been sweating.
Yeah, I believe it. All good. So, in the meantime, of course, if you'd like to be in touch with us, feel free to get in touch with us, especially over in Discord, which is probably one of the easiest ways. But we do have presence over here on YouTube, obviously. Over on the webpage, Holy Crap the Vlogcast, you've got all of our contact, most of our contact, and Blue Sky is probably one of the better locations, because I try very desperately not to do very much on Twitter. I do pay attention to when stuff happens over there, and I read stuff, but adding new stuff, like adding likes or commenting, I try to avoid that if at all possible, because it's a cesspool. And I'm doing my best to stay just hovered just away from it. It's not easy, but I'm trying. Meantime, otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. So, until that next point, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned, and I wish you well. And of course, my lady, it is just too damn many years later, and I am still in love. Mwah. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.